Hello and welcome to the Anime Explorations podcast. My name is Alex.
I'm Tora.
I'm David.
And we are a monthly anime book club podcast where we watch an anime series or movie, and in this case a series, and talk about it. And we start off each episode by talking about various news and that sort of thing and what we're watching. David and Tora, what you're currently watching right now?
I started reading the translated light novels and watching the show that David recommended, which is called Trapped in a Dating Sim.
The world of Otome games is tough for mobs.
It's actually pretty good.
I know.
It takes a while to get going for me, but then it starts getting really good.
Yeah. We're still watching Solo Leveling, Apothecary Diaries, Sakamoto Days, although pretty much
Sakamoto Days last episode went up as we are the day we are recording this one. Or like tomorrow, I think, something like that.
Depends on the time. Depends on your time zone.
Yeah. That's just about wrapped up. That's been a fun show so far. Zenshu's also been great. That's one of the ones I've been watching. I've been watching Dr. Detective. Though that show's been having production problems. Where it'll go for like a couple episodes and then there'll be a pause and like not a filler episode, not like a recap episode, but they'll like have like a travelogue video thing with like the voice actors who plays the lead character going out and doing something. Which feels like we shot this for the DVD release and we're behind schedule, so we're going to have to air this to fill an episode slot kind of thing.
I tried to get in. I tried that show. I could not get into it. I couldn't get into it. The medicine was too bad.
Oh.
It was like the way they were doing things was just, it was like, no, it's, I couldn't even get into the mystery. It's like, no, you're doing everything wrong. The girl walking around, the doctor who looks like a little girl walking around barefooted in a hospital. It's like, if you've ever worked there, it's yeah.
Don't do that.
Yeah. I'm also been enjoying the show Anyway, I'm Falling in Love with You, speaking of romantic dramedy shows, which is that one's airing this season. That's the one I mentioned that's the sort of COVID show where like part of the plot is set during the pandemic and then the other portion of it is set is fast forward later when the main character is working as an editor for a manga publisher and is trying to work help out a struggling manga author who she's having problems with her romance manga. And there's an interesting bit that they did in a recent episode where the two of them are basically talking about the pandemic and mentioning that, for the younger author, she was like she was a grade schooler during the pandemic, and it like really, and bringing up like how that causes differences in terms of your how you socially remember those eras, those periods of your life and that sort of thing. And that was an interesting observation that we haven't really, that when I look at other, like particularly Western pandemic media, doesn't come up that much.
I guess it's still early days considering when it happened.
Yeah.
True.
Being a parent during the pandemic is
interesting.
It's a thing.
Yeah. All right. And we have a few news stories to talk about. One which I forgot to post on our little shared discussion thing. I think I might have forgotten to post. So Hayao Miyazaki shaved his beard.
I beg your pardon.
I don't like that.
And we found out about this from a post on Studio Kara's social media with Hideaki Anno and
Of course it was on it.
and Miyazaki at the Studio Ghibli offices.
Cool.
I don't like that.
It's fun.
I know it's fine.
reason-
It's just...
His reason for shaving it was that he found it too hard to maintain, which admittedly he had a fairly bushy beard, so I can understand that.
You do whatever you need to do, Miyazaki-san.
Couple more topical, not topical, but more general or specific, even general, anime-specific news stories. So, by the time this goes out, you should still have some time to buy tickets to go see in U.S. and Canadian theaters Vampire Hunter D, which we covered as our first Halloween movie on the podcast. So, if you haven't had a chance to watch it previously, it will be in theaters, an special event screening for April 9th, 10th, and 13th, co-promoted by High Dive and Shudder, who are both owned by the AMC channels, the family of channels and stuff. So, yep, and and after this screenings, the movie will be available on both services, so on High Dive and Shudder. So if you just a Shudder person, then that's available for you there too. I'm kind of impressed by
It's nice.
glad to see this. Yeah, also we haven't seen that much with AMC once they bought High Dive, not really leveraging their cross promotion before. Like they haven't even done the Disney, we're going to package Disney Plus, Hulu, and ESPN into a streaming package thing, for a discounted streaming package thing. Because, not going to lie, I'm not while I have a lot of streaming services that I subscribe to, which is why I haven't subscribed to Shudder yet. If I had a good bundle deal, I might have, for High Dive and Shudder, I'd think about it pretty hard.
Take note, AMC.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of movies, we went and saw the new Gundam movie. Well,
I think we covered that last time.
did we talk about that?
Yeah, because that was back in Feb. That was...
Yep.
I think we just saw it 2 days before our last recording.
Oh
Yep. We had the Anime Trends had their 11th annual Anime Trending Awards. And Frieren did pretty well in the lineup there.
Well deserved.
Yeah. Let's see here, for Anime of the Year, and also taking a bunch of character awards. Although for Best Boy, Himbel did not take it. He placed third behind Kyotaru from Dangerous in My Heart, and Okaroon. We don't say his real name because she get the the character's name fell in my head. She gets upset. ISA, yes. ISA gets upset.
Oh, buddy, the anime girls can't hurt you.
I'm being
physically,
facetious.
Emotionally, we are devastated.
Speaking of devastated, emotionally devastated, Kana Arima from Oshinoko Season 2 took Girl of the Year.
And then Mao.
Yep, with Mao Mao in second. And Danger's actually strong showing for Danger's in My Heart Season 2 because they also got Ship of the Year. Himmel did get Supporting Boy of the Year, though, so hey.
I mean...
That feels more appropriate, given that...
He was barely
in it. He's a very important memory, yeah. But...
Soshiro, or Hoshina, from Kaiju number 8, took number 2, Supporting Boy.
I'm surprised Kaiju number 8 didn't do better. I mean, it was definitely on a few lists.
But honestly, if you look at,
maybe it's just a perfect storm of things I like.
Kaiju number 8 is... it's a weird combo, because it's essentially body horror shonen, which is...
But with the protagonist who's an actual adult.
Honestly, genre-wise, what I think it's closest to is the old Guyver stuff, which
Yeah, that
I
fits.
adored, and very sad it will never be finished.
Yeah.
Stupid author existence failure.
Author existence.
The author artist is fine. The person he bounced ideas off of for the production died, and after that he was like, well, I'm gonna go work at my family's dentist office.
Oh, that's tragic.
Yeah.
It's the opposite of what
various,
happened with Berserk's creator.
Man.
When the creator did.
Of the production awards, probably the one that I think was like most interesting, but one I did really like. So like the number 1 and number 2. Number 2 was To a Kinder World, which was episode 7 of Dan to Dan. That's the big flashback for Acrobatic Celty one. Real tearjerker. But number 1 was Stepsister and Diary with my Stepsister, which is one of those shows that lots of people slept on here for somewhat understandable reasons. It's a romance anime with step-sibling. It's a step-sibling romance anime, which I understand a lot of people slept on that. But that show did really interesting production design, storyboarding, animation stuff. It was like, okay, we're going to be really weird and experimental about this. Which, like, okay. Like, that kept me watching through what could have been a very bland milquetoast show. And it was basically by be like looking at the show and who was working on it. Like, okay, I will give this a shot because of who's doing this, and I'm glad I did.
That makes sense. You love it when they try new things.
Yeah.
Especially since I would say that due to the way it's produced, I would say that anime as a whole, at least up until the last like couple decades, was really like low on the, how do I want to put it, like the cinematography, the camera angles and stuff. A lot of it was
it depends on where you're at. It depends like where you're at
too. Like if you look at something like just something we covered before, Akira, like for the most part it uses very, camera shots we've seen in other things, but then it also has those incredibly iconic shots that everything after that
more about was syndicated shows because they have such a tight turnaround.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, there's also
features. Sorry.
Or OVAs. Yeah.
Yeah, I like OVAs is like where you really want to go for like, because like for example, there was the 1993 Hakinden OVA series, which was, I'm just gonna say, absolutely stunning. In terms of like visual art design and style and presentation of its fight and action scenes and all that sort of stuff. It's like a really, really great show. Unfortunately, it is also spectacularly out of print. Trying to find out who licensed it. I explained it. It was a Jenny on joint. So that's why.
I remember when they were Pioneer. That's how old I am.
Yeah, so do I. But like, I want to say that one of like at least a couple like a bunch of big name like animation people like were like animation directors on this and went on to do other like big name work, major work. Yeah, like that. I remember, like that was a show I rented on disc from Netflix back when Netflix did distribution on CD. Oh wait, I found it. Masami Yuasa was the animation director on episode 4.
I've heard that name.
Yes, he did. Among other things, Ezoken. I think that was the first show we did, or second or first show we did.
That show was very cool.
The first September show we did. That was like the first educational one.
Yeah, our first September show. So that was like that was a good one. Like
great animation.
And all of his stuff has been generally fantastic. And seeing him in doing animation direction on that was great. And The whole thing was like, honestly, the whole show was amazing. I wanted to get License Rescued really bad, and doing a quick check of the production stuff. Okay, so there is no Aniplex involved, so theoretically this could get License Rescued by Discotheque or by Animigo. So fingers crossed that happens at some point in the future.
Discotheque, if you're listening, which who knows, maybe.
You're only
skew.
Yeah. And other than that, we've gotten some of our new season anime announcements.
Oh my gosh, yes. The upcoming stuff.
David's excited.
Yep. So a couple of the big standout ones for me. We've got My Hero Academia Vigilantes coming out.
I'm so happy. It's such a good manga, and given how great they made the main My Hero Academia anime, I've got such high hopes.
Is it a side story?
Sort of prequel.
Okay.
It's a side story set before.
Cool.
We also have Hero Academia has Vigilantes got picked up by Crunchyroll. Rock is a Lady's Modesty got picked up by High Dive, which looks really interesting. We have the new Anne of Green Gables anime, Anne Shirley, got picked up by Crunchyroll, which, like, the original Anne of Green Gables anime from, like, back in the 70s or 80s was directed by Isao Takahata.
She watched it.
I watched a lot of it on YouTube, yes. You all can watch it on YouTube. That was
directed by Takahata. Very well done show. And I have family members who are absolutely in love, like relatives and cousins who are absolutely in love with the Anne of Green Gables, all of those novels. So I broke my Facebook departure to drop back on there and say, hey, my relatives who were fans of Anne of Green Gables and Avonlea and all that, you need to watch this show.
I went back and reread all the books actually last year because I watched the whole show the live action show that they did on Netflix.
Anne with an E.
Anne with an E.
Too dark for me.
Well, it got a little better, but I went back and reread all the novels, and they hold up. There's something about them. I don't know what it is.
We have season 2 of Windbreaker, which looking forward to that.
Ooh, such good fights.
Oh yes. I don't have the full High Dive list. Let me see if they have the.
Well,
to see if they posted their full list yet. I don't. So nope, they've. Yeah, they have not done their full spring season list yet. So that's so much we've gone. That's all I've got so far. They have from them. Gundam Quicks is on Amazon.
I have feelings about that, but I'm still gonna watch it.
Yeah, and I've figured out what my one fan service show of the season is going to be. Because I ended up stumbling across some of the manga for this earlier. I'm like, okay, this was an interesting concept, so I'm wondering where they'll go from that. So,
what's it called?
It is called Please Put Them On Takamine-san.
Cute name.
It is it's a fan service comedy about a girl who has time rewind abilities that are related to changing her underpants in public.
I've heard weirder premises.
We'll see.
Okay. I'm not going to judge. I'm not going to judge. I'm going to wait for Alex to tell me his feelings on it after it starts.
Is flashing everyone required to activate the power, or can you just do it under your skirt?
So the thing is, like, when it rewinds, no one knows that it happened.
Okay, that makes sense.
And like I read it, I ended up like
jump forward when she puts on new underwear.
I don't. No. So like it is deliberately weird in interesting ways.
All right.
From what I've read of the manga. And like it's like from what I've gathered, she's got the main character read of the manga. The character has real, like, I describe it as like Emma Frost energy.
Okay.
Like she's
depending on who's writing her, that's fine.
Yeah, I mean, in the sense of like, she is very aware of herself and her and she has a very intense confidence to it and that sort of thing. And like when our male perspective character ends up finding out about this, her response is basically, "Okay, you work for me now."
Okay, how old is our protagonist?
Senior high school.
Okay.
Not great, but it's
could be worse.
Better
could
than
be
other
so
works.
much worse. I expect worse from Japan. I admit it.
Yeah, like it's one of the things where like I have like tried out a fan service show and scared and it's got this is really skeezy. I will stop watching like unpleasantly skeezy. I'll stop watching it. Sometimes like I will watch a fan service show like no, this is actually a shockingly good action series. Like with
Fire Force?
No, not Fire Force. It was the one with
I'm saying Fire Force had way too much quote unquote fan service for what it like.
It was on High Dive.
Okay.
It was on High Dive. It was the fighting demons. The guy transform with the guy who transforms and
Didn't you watch Didn't you watch an ecchi show recently, but you were like, it was too good for what it was? I think they wanted to make a normal show, but the only way they could get budget...
No, I was telling you
Chained
about
Soldier.
Okay.
Chained Soldier was the one that was the fan service action show. Like that was like actually pretty well done and some fun jokes in there. Probably one of the better executed versions of the female character has Ultraman powers, Ultraman growth powers.
Nice.
And then there was the cosplay show, a 2.5D Seduction, which was like, okay, like rock solid. Like really good, like, in terms of like, watch Dress Up Darling and then watch 2.5D Seduction. In any case,
there's one other upcoming show that I'm very excited about, and that's Lazarus. By
I don't know where that's streaming because
Adult Swim and then Max, unfortunately.
Yeah, I was like, because like I know that when Adult Swim did Suicide Squad Isekai, that did eventually go to Hulu, but I wasn't sure if this one was going to go to Hulu.
It's going to Max. But after that, I don't know, because I mean, who knows licensing? They might have like
it'll
6
bounce
months
around eventually.
Yeah.
Like I have debated off and on like resubscribing to Max mainly just because of AEW, but
yeah, we're subscribed to Max because they have Discovery and our son loves BattleBots.
Okay, that's fair. So you have the advantage of you have BattleBots and you also have access to AEW, so you could watch Adam Copeland and John Moxley have a hardcore brawl involving a baseball bat with nails sticking out of it if you felt so inclined.
Classic baseball bat with nails sticking out of it.
Yes, but for those of our listeners who aren't aware, Lazarus is the new show from Shinichiro Watanabe, who did Cowboy Bebop. So his stuff is almost always amazing. And even if it's not amazing, it's incredibly stylish and fun.
Do you think he's
Indeed.
partnered with Yoko Kanno again? Anything about the music in the articles? If he was, it would definitely say.
Well,
we should probably get to the show we're actually reviewing this month, though.
Yeah,
Toradora the
that's
Explorer.
true. Like speaking of, admittedly she
Because I
does
thought
not
of
use
it.
Admittedly, she does not use a nail bat in the course of the show. But speaking of improvised weaponry and pro wrestling, because that does come up,
That was amazing.
let's get to this month's show, Toradora.
Woo.
So
David's so pleased with himself, you guys. Oh my god.
Yeah. So for our romantic comedy shows, we have done with My Dress Up Darling, we've done a seinen manga adaptation. We've done a shoujo yosei manga adaptation with Loving Yamada-kun at level 999. And I figured, okay, let's do an adaptation of a light novel this time. So we did Toradora, which I had seen in part. A little after I got out of college, I was part of a non-collegiate, non-school related anime club for a bit, and we watched about through episode 11, basically through the end of the summer vacation beach house arc of the show. And then for various reasons, I ended up dropping out of the club, partially because there was this guy who was organizing the club who he'd had a messy divorce in his past, or a couple of divorces. And so whenever a romantic comedy show came up, he would complain about romance in adolescent in YA fiction. And yeah, like, okay, I'm done. But I enjoyed the show. Like, I need to get back and watch the rest of this eventually. So
It's interesting that you bring up like complaining about romantic comedies in the context of this one specifically, because I would say that this is one of the more like down to earth, least contrived ones that I've ever seen, and I've watched a lot of romance shows, you guys.
Honestly, there's so little romance in this.
But that's what it's like. It's all up in your head all the time.
It was really interesting because, like, we call this a romantic comedy, and it is mostly a comedy, but it's not really a romantic one. It's more of an interpersonal. Like, it's all about the various relationships.
It's just well written. That's what you're pinging on.
I almost think the term I always use is actually more romantic dramedy rather than comedy.
That's fair.
Because like the start of the series definitely leads much more on the comedy side of things, both in terms of banter and slapstick. And when you start getting into the second half of the series, actually, honestly, not that far after the whole summer vacation beach house,
the second half of the show.
starts. Yeah, like. I mean, like we get the Culture Fest art right after that, and like that's the point. Like starting episode 12, and from then on, it starts getting much more like there's still the comedy there, but it gets a lot more. The ground is not the right term, but more kind of serious,
more invested in the people,
because all the character arcs start coming to a boiling point. Like the timing is really, it feels very true. For how your feelings build up over time, and then all of the things that you haven't said, and all of the things that you think someone else has said, and all of the miscommunications just keep piling up on each other, and nobody is saying what they're really thinking or feeling, or people aren't really sure what they're feeling, and then you kind of explode. And that's just what it's like to be a teenager.
This show had some of the most realistically written teenagers.
Yeah.
And it has repercussions for the actions they have. Like there's like not just in terms of like interpersonal consequences repercussions, but like not to jump too far ahead of things a bit, I do need to kind of give a bit of a description of the premise, but there's a fight that happens later on toward the back half of the show, and one of the characters gets suspended for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So to describe the premise, our male lead is Ryuji Takasu, who is a somewhat ordinary high school boy who's being raised by a single mom. His dad is, to his knowledge, deceased.
And he's got resting Yakuza face.
Yes, and he has resting Kiryu face. And he has a crush with on one of the tomboy girls at his school, Minori Kushida. However, Kushida's best friend is a very short pipstreak kind of girl with a serious chip on her shoulder. Taiga Aisaka,
Kind of
also known as the Palm also known as the Palm Tiger. Yep. I should mention for cast stuff here, Ryuji is voiced in Japanese by Junji Majima, and Taiga is voiced in probably one of her career-defining roles by Rie Kugamiya. She gets to throw a lot of shut ups in this one. Or should I say, Urusai! And got her as this is like basically more or less cinched her as one, if not the queen of tsundere, then the number one contender for the title. And when Ryuji discovers that Taiga has a big crush on his good friend, let me make sure I'm looking at the character page here to pull everything up. Yusaku, and since Minori is her good friend, there it is. Oh, we'll help each other hook up with our crushes. Assisted by the fact that also Taiga lives in the apartment building directly next door to Ryuji, and she lives by herself and is incapable of cooking or cleaning, while Ryuji is a good cook and a clean freak.
I appreciated that.
And
yes,
and hilarity ensues until relationships get complicated, and boy, do they get complicated.
But in a very true feeling way.
Yeah.
Yep.
I really appreciated the lack of contrived rom-com situations in this show. Like, they get into some wacky shenanigan situations, but it's not the normal contrived stuff.
This was very much more of a... It was more of a just spit it out already, instead of, this whole thing would be resolved if you could just say the one thing that somehow the other person didn't catch.
Yeah.
Yeah, or other form of contrived miscommunications. And as much as I love this show and this manga deeply from the bottom of my heart, I'm looking at you, Masonic Koku.
Oh,
that's my favorite Rumiko Takahashi work, but I almost can't read it now. And it's not that it's like too cringe. It's just that I'm like, you people are all so dumb. Like these situations are so easily resolved. Like, oh man.
And our other major supporting characters here are, of course, Ryuji's mom, Yusaku, who Yusaku works as a hostess, which means she has to keep odd hours.
She looks like
19. While also,
she says she's 23. She, in fact, is 33. Yuji is 17. Yep. So, yeah,
I actually, like, when they first introduced that character, and this actually happened for me with a couple of characters, when you first introduce the character, you get this kind of shorthand that allows you to say, oh, it's this trope. And for his mom, it was like, oh, okay, single mom working as a hostess, kind of a ditzy bimbo type. He takes care of her. But then, she does get some development over the course of the show, and oh man, I kind of really root for her as a character. I was like on her side 100%.
Yeah.
There's a dramatic scene near the end where her son says some mean things to her, and I was like, how dare you? Like, she is doing her best.
A lot of that came because she, did not tell Ryuji about his dad.
Yep. There's some avoidance there.
Yeah, obviously.
Yeah.
Actually, everyone's family situation kind of gets looked at a little bit, and you learn some interesting things.
We also have our our homeroom teacher, Yuri Kubo, played by Rie Tanaka in the Japanese dub, who probably stays strictly the most comedic over the course of the show.
Yeah, I don't think she ever quite transcends character trope, but I loved her so much. She was consistently great.
She's
when things get serious and everyone's really into the relationship stuff, she's like, I need to start thinking about oh my god, I'm nearly 30. I need to start thinking about what I'm going to my financial security for the future. I'm going to go to real estate meetings.
Yeah. I'm going to I'm going to be a property owner.
I feel so old.
Okay. Well, haven't met a man. I'm too old for that now.
Actually, one of my favorite scenes, there was this little almost throwaway scene where one of the characters, Ami, goes up to her and says, hey, I noticed that you buy really nice, fashion brand clothing, and it looks really good. And she was so touched that someone had noticed. And for me, that kind of, recontextualized her as a character, because all of a sudden it was like she was a person, and someone had recognized her as a person.
She takes care with her appearance.
I was like, okay, that was good. It was nice.
And finally, we also have our sort of not quite Greek chorus, but in terms but punctuation of a lot of the jokes and dramatic moments of the series. Inko-chan, the parakeet.
Oh my god.
That bird disturbs me viscerally.
There has got to be a reference.
Every time it came up on screen, I was
that
like, oh,
bird
no.
is there because I did not get that bird. It's like, what do you add to the story?
So it seems more small parrot sized than parakeet sized, but
it's supposed to be a parakeet.
Fine.
But it's way bigger than any parakeet I've ever seen.
So when I think parakeets, I think budgies, and budgies can't talk. Some parrots can mimic human speech, but budgies can't. I don't know. I don't care what kind of bird it's meant to be. I didn't like it. Okay, I didn't like the bird.
I didn't like its pompadour. I didn't like the fact that its tongue was constantly swollen out of its mouth.
That's what I was like.
Did not like the fact that it looked like it was almost every time you saw it, its head was upside down.
I like it.
It's the tongue and the eyes that are deeply unsettling.
Deeply unsettling. My parents had a
pompadour.
I've had pet birds, and I was like, nope, something very wrong here. But I liked the bit where it was finally able to say its own name towards the end of the show. It reminded me of the dog in the Mitchells versus the Machines finally uncrossing its eyes. Just a little victory for the pet there.
Yeah. But more seriously, our other adult character only shows up for one arc, but has a significant impact, and that's Taiga's father, Rikuro Aisaka.
That jackass. Spoilers.
Yeah.
That jackass.
Everyone has really understandable reactions to this character. He's almost more of a situation than he is a character.
Yeah.
And yeah, I was kind of like, I get where Ryuji's coming from.
Ryuji doesn't have a father. There's this person
wanting
he cares
to
about.
Reconcile because he can't. Yeah. And I get where her best friend is coming from. How dare you let that scumbag back in her life in any form?
I had to pick up the pieces last time.
Yeah. Yeah. And I get where Taiga's coming from with she was hopeful for a while there.
She's hopeful, but she can't bring herself to, believe it.
Yeah, for good reason. So, yeah. I also found the story arc that they had about Ami and her stalker to be really interesting. I feel like that's actually when I really like locked into the shows when she showed up. Because at first, like all the other characters, she just kind of is introduced as a set of tropes. Like at first you think she's the very pretty nice girl, and then it turns out she's secretly a mean evil bitch. But actually no, it's a lot more than that. And there's a lot of stuff going on with her. And then she becomes this very interesting character for the rest of the show, where she can like see what's going on and the things that people aren't willing to admit to themselves or out loud. But then she also has stuff that she is not saying out loud. And she is somewhat more mature than the other characters, but she kind of hates that she has to be. And I get that. And I don't know. There's a lot going on.
Sorry, Alex, you go.
Yeah, those cases. Ami, by the way, your camera went out for a second.
It did, yeah. That's because I pressed a button and
Ami
it should not have been pressed.
Yeah. Ami gets to be kind of the voice of reason almost to an extent. The blunt, callous equivalent of a brick to the face voice of reason, but kind of the voice of reason nonetheless. She's the one who gets to say everything that, or not everything, but a lot of the things that other people are unwilling to say. She still won't like. She still won't go quite so far as to say, no, she likes you, you dumbass, but she comes really close on multiple occasions.
Mm-hmm.
Well, honestly,
I feel like she is always walking a very fine line of trying to respect other people's feelings, like, and she doesn't get enough credit for it because her affect is extremely blunt when she's being herself. I don't know. I really appreciate that about her.
I think where she stands out best is in contrast to Kitamura, Ryuji's friend, and the school vice president.
So a very interesting character.
They both can see what the other characters are feeling, but Kitamura is very much more like, okay, I'm just going to be your friend, and you're going to figure this out on your own. And Ami is more of a, you're an idiot, I'm going to shove you until you figure this out.
I need you to figure this out because it's affecting my calm.
Yeah. Like, but also, she's just a great contrast to pretty much every character. Like, to Kushieda, they both like Ryuji and are accepting that Ryuji should belong with Taiga. But whereas Kushieda is very self-sacrificing and it's tearing her apart, Ami is angry about it. She's like, you two... Damn it!
Just do it. Like, she kind of becomes an audience surrogate for us in that way because, you know, there comes a point in every romantic show where you're just like, God dang it, get together already. And then she's there doing that for us in the context of the world of the show. Diegetically.
Like she's all but saying, why don't you two just kiss?
Yeah. Oh, props to the show for actually having kissing in it and hand-holding and stuff. Like, a lot of anime romantic comedies, you might get, like, hand-holding at the end. Or, you know, a cute little declaration of love. This show, they actually kiss, thank God.
Like, and not just a little kiss, but like a
proper
big
kissing.
Kiss.
Speaking of the ending of the show, what really threw me and what actually made me actually, like, really, really like the show is that it ends in a realistic manner. Like, the kids don't run off. They don't declare their everlasting love. We're gonna try and work this out because this is life and we are just high schoolers and there is so much more after this.
Yeah. And also it's like, you know, how many bridges are you willing to burn? Luckily, the answer is not all of them. Like,
luckily, the answer is, turns out we found a new bridge, and we're just going to use that one.
Just going to go over that bridge there.
Yep.
Which is a good way to put it. But there's actually growth and development, which I very much appreciate. A lot of romances set in high schools insist on treating high school like a bubble world where everything that happens afterward is ignored or doesn't matter.
It's not just romances in high school.
I guess that's true. All high school stories could be guilty of that to some degree. But yeah, like David said, this one they're actually thinking about what comes next, and they're being realistic about it in a way that does not kill the vibe.
I know. It ends with a hopeful, maybe they will end up happily ever after, and maybe they won't. But that's life too.
At least everyone has talked about what they're feeling finally.
Yeah. So what were some of your favorite moments from the show? I liked the whole thing with when Ami got introduced and we had that initial rivalry between Taiga and Ami before they eventually ended up honestly becoming like big close friends later on in the series. Complete with the whole thing with the swimming competition.
That was cute.
It's hard to have a swimming competition where one of them can't swim. But by God, she did the work to get there. That was amazing.
I liked how this show was not afraid to have girls fight. That happens, you know? Like
this show wasn't just not afraid to have girls fight. This show actually had a real goddamn fight.
Proper fight.
Like physical fights, emotional conflict. Mm-hmm. Oh my God. Oh, this was
like knockdown, drag out, brawl. Like Taiga is in a fighting game.
Yes, she is.
Sounds right.
She is in the fighting game for the publisher of the novels. Dengeki Bunko Fighting Climax. She is in that.
Chairs, baseball bats, wooden swords.
Alongside Kuroyuki Hime from Excel World, Mikoto Bisaka from Certain Magical Index.
Is that Kirito?
Kishiro Himejima from no, Kirito is not in this. It is not the character for Sword Art Online. Yuki is the character for Sword Art Online.
Wild.
It also has as assist characters Holo and Boogie Pop.
Nice. People you'd want on your side.
Wow.
Because it's all fighting game characters from novel series that are published by. Oh, no, correction. Asuna and Kirito are in the game. My bad. So yes, Asuna and Kirito are on there. So yes, you can have Taiga fight Kirito and possibly win.
I mean, he's not that great in the real world. Like, yes, he has that kendo training, but I'm fairly certain if 4'0" Taiga comes at him with a steel chair, he will fold like said chair. And incidentally, I think the wrestling bit with Taiga, the whole wrestling play,
the wrestling show was
my favorite bit.
They were all talking like, oh, we're gonna do a cosplay cafe, and I was like, okay, another cafe situation, but no, it's a wrestling show. And they all get into it.
It's like, wow, there are parts for everyone in class.
It's like they all just seize the moment. One of my favorite moments is when Ryuji puts on eyeliner and he gets told off for being too scary. They're like, don't do that. And then I liked when they all dressed up for the Christmas party and Ryuji wore a suit and slicked his hair back. And it just made him look so Yakuza. It's just leading into it at that point.
Well, it wasn't just so Yakuza. It was exactly like his dad. Which is why the next time you see him, he's changed his hair. He's still in the suit, but he's
like,
no
I
longer...
can't do it. Yeah, his mom got nostalgic. I also really like... I told you about that scene with the teacher that I really liked. I also really liked, like, just there were small details about each character that I really appreciated. Like, I loved how Ami kind of picked this spot between the vending machines to kind of like hide and think in when she was feeling down. I liked that Kushieda was like always moving because after you start to get to know her and her deal a little bit, you're like, oh, she's one of those people who constantly has to be like keeping her body fidgeting and busy because she overthinks things. Little things like that. Oh my god, I loved when the guy bleached his hair.
Yes.
Kitamura, yes.
Kitamura freaks out and bleaches his hair, and everyone is like, what?
Okay, here's the thing, though. Here's the thing about him bleaching his hair.
Badly.
No, he did it well. Hair, usually when you bleach your hair badly, or at least when people of Japanese descent with that particular hair type bleach their hair badly, it comes out orange.
Yeah,
His was a perfect yellow. He bleached it properly.
That was several applications.
That was an appropriate bleach. That was like, that's not, like, because of course, even when he's rebelling, he's doing the proper work. He's getting it right.
You know he followed all the instructions on the box.
Exactly.
It just looked terrible.
Yeah, it looked terrible because it was supposed to, but it was properly done.
Like his whole thing with the way that he is a goofball also.
Yes.
Like when they go on the beach trip and like, okay, Ami's the last one here, so let's do this goofy posing thing to draw attention to ourselves and embarrass her, kind of.
Yeah, and then when they went on the class trip, he was running around in just a towel, totally unselfconsciously.
I think another of my favorite bits was side character, because those two guys for Ryuji, his friends, Noto and Haruta, is just, we see Haruta, it was like, was it Valentine's Day or was it White Day? Where he's just out with his
girlfriend.
Yeah, Haruta's just out with his girlfriend, and they're like, why does he have a girl with him?
They're all like, what? You have a girlfriend? And it's like, that's how in your own head you are as a teenager when you have like crushes and drama going on. You just don't know.
Wait, your friend has...
You had a girlfriend this whole time?
Yeah. I like that because it showed that everyone has a life.
Everyone has a life. Very, very well thought out in the details. And I don't know if it's because it was a novel first or what, but it's really nice.
Yeah, all the characters feel like people.
Yeah, they do. There was this one character, I want to say she was a redhead, and in the dub, she's voiced by the same actress who does Rin from Fate. And so I was like, why is Rin in their class? Like, every time she talked. I couldn't help it. Exact same voice.
Some of the bits. Yeah. Some of the bits I liked. There's a lot of really good character moments towards the end of the show.
Oh, yes, so many.
I like the bookends of Taiga and Ryuji's relationship, where like they're almost their meet cute moment, like the real meet cute moment involves Taiga hiding in a locker and stumbling out, and then the end of the series, like our coda is her like basically getting on the day of Ryuji's graduation, her waiting for him to show up in the classroom, and then when he comes in, she quickly goes and hides in the same locker.
He just walks right up to it. He knows what the deal is.
Yep.
Is it my imagination? No, she's in the locker.
She's in the locker. They're so cute. I like how, even though they kind of did that reverse trope where the girl doesn't do any cooking and cleaning and can't take care of herself and the guy does all that, they kind of grow over the course of the show to the point where Taiga decides she's gonna learn how to take care of herself properly. And Ryuji decides that it's okay for him to focus on his future once in a while. And so there's growth, they progress toward whole people, which is nice.
Early bit from the show that we didn't talk about that I think is done pretty well is it is a frequent joke in anime and manga for things with for female characters who are petite to be self-conscious about it. And I think the way they handled that topic in this particular show with Taiga, I think is handled well. Both in terms of the way things work with like Taiga being self-conscious about swim lessons, not just because she doesn't know how to swim, but also because
how she looks in a bathing suit.
Yeah, that actually looks basically like she is petite enough that they don't make bathing suits that fit people with her lack of bust very well.
I've only ever had the opposite problem, but I imagine it's the same feeling of despair when you go to the shopping,
Yeah. And then the thing with the inserts, and when there is a malfunction with the inserts, it's like what makes her upset and self-conscious about it is not just, they'll find out about the inserts. I suspect she figures people do, but like the fact that there was just one at the time that came out.
Yeah, that would be mortifying.
I was like, Ryuji, buddy, why didn't you sew them in? You could have hidden it in the hemline. Like, yes, I understand you didn't plan for her to, get in the water. But nevertheless.
I mean, yeah, swimsuits are rough. Things get displaced. Water has more force than you think it will. And if you're not proficient in sewing that kind of garment, that's an easy mistake to make.
Yeah. Also, like, looking for reminders for particular moments, just glancing at, like, a couple different pages in my notes. Taiga's equivalent, how to put this, the version of the "your shoes untied" that Taiga pulls on Amy at the start of the swim contest.
Yeah, that was great.
Like, I didn't remember that bit from when I watched the episode the first time. I knew she threw all the flotation devices and stuff at her, but I didn't know what she said before that. And like, you went there.
I remember thinking at the time, like, similar to how I said, at least they show actual girl fighting in this show, which is to say it's just fighting. Like, girls can be just as bitchy. They also show real, like, girl smack talk. I feel like a lot of anime in particular walks a lot back on how girls can be.
I think that's because they need slightly more diverse, writing groups.
They probably do.
And it helps that, like, this is written, like, the novels were written by a woman.
Yeah, it has that
Yuyuko Takemiya. And the series script was also written by a woman with Mari Okada.
This does not surprise me.
Yeah. Okada also did Maidens in Her Savage Season. Maidens in Your Savage Season, which also a very good show about high school girls. In that case, it's high school girls kind of grappling with the topic of sex and sexuality, which can make it a tricky series to talk about. Part of the reason why I hadn't thought about doing that one yet, but it's possible something to do for a future show. Yeah. It is a very good series. I definitely recommend it.
So I guess we like this show and we recommend it.
Yep.
That's great.
Also, I didn't realize this when we recorded last month's episode when I was doing the plugs. So the novels have been licensed.
Yay.
for, and there's audiobooks.
Nice.
Narrated by Cassandra Lee Morris, the English dub voice for Taiga.
Awesome. I can't wait to hear her do Ryuji. Wait, I'm going to rephrase that. I can't wait to hear how she voices Ryuji.
Amazing. I am glad that we live in this world where we're getting these Japanese light novels, not only getting them translated, but getting audiobooks for them.
It's exciting.
And particularly because of the timing of how we're getting we've gotten the anime first, and then we're getting audiobooks. We're getting these interesting situations where, like, Lisa Ortiz is doing the Slayers audiobooks. Well, Lisa is the voice of Lena Inverse. We have the voice of Taiga doing doing the Toradora audiobooks. We have an audiobook for Konosuba, which is, I'm trying to pull this up on Audible now. I'm trying to see who the reader is. And looks like it's read by multiple members of the cast. We have Kevin Steinbach, Arnie Petoja, and Erica Mendez. I'm not sure if Erica Mendez is Aqua or if she's one of the other characters, like Darkness or that sort of thing, for Konosuba.
What a time to be alive.
But anyway. But yeah. Like, remember Spice and Wolf, the English dub voices of Hollow and Kraft Lawrence are the narrators for that.
Can I?
So yeah.
Go ahead.
Like, it's, if you like light novels, this is a great time to not only get a chance to just read the original books, but also having to listen to the audiobooks in a way that fits with, if you're a dub fan, the version of these characters that you're familiar with.
And if I could get up on my soapbox for a moment, voice actors and actresses make all this possible. They are, I believe, still on strike here in the US for rights against their voices being used, copied, spoofed by AI. And currently there are no protections because it's still such a new technology. And there really needs to be legislation around that. So anything you could do to support them, and, you know, it would be great, because this is important stuff. Like, I guarantee you that companies will use AI if they can get away with it, and it will be crappy. Because that's been the entirety of the AI experience so far. So...
Oh, yes, performance matters. Like, the reason I bring up voice actor names is, like, performance matters, both in Japanese and in English.
Mm-hmm.
And so their work needs to be protected, and there needs to be legal protections for them, to prevent their performances from being stolen. And they need a SAG-AFTRA contract that prevents, in video games, that's the strike that's currently ongoing at the moment.
Oh, that's what I'm thinking.
Is to keep game companies from using AI to use actors' voices without fair compensation for their work.
You know how we talk about the enshittification of everything. Let's not let it happen to the arts if we can help it, because sometimes the arts are the only thing that keep us going out here.
That's true.
Yeah, and just to cut this argument off at the pass, if anyone decides to just read some of the comments, to be clear, I'm a fan of Hatsune Miku and the Vocaloid whole concept and that sort of thing.
I feel like actual creatives are behind the scenes there, though.
The Vocaloid isn't really an AI, though. It's, you know...
Yeah, exactly. I was about to get to that. Like, is what the Vocaloids are is it's not using an AI algorithm. It is certainly a singer lending their voice to pre-record phonemes for purposes of computer software that can be then used to create music. But they know going in that they are using their instrument to be a music instrument for others, and they are fairly compensated for that.
Yep.
And so
is different.
Yeah, it is a very different thing. So that's where we're at. So that's where my stance on that is AI sucks. I do not support. In fact, I actively oppose generative AI. Oh, yeah. And if you don't like that, you can hit the bricks.
AI is theft.
In terms.
Yeah.
Yep. And with that, we'll talk really quick then. What we're doing for on a lighter note, next month's show. And by on a lighter note, I mean the world's been crazy over the past. It was crazy last month. It's been crazy this month.
Last month has lasted several years.
We need something that's a more of a lighter, fluffier show about dealing with stress and coping with exhaustion and that sort of thing.
Alex, why do I feel you're about to take my legs out from under me?
So, Bocchi the Rock Season 2 is out?
No, I'm afraid he's going to hit us with something dense and deep and heavy.
Nope. Instead, we are doing the Helpful Fox Senko-San.
Okay.
For next month. A nice 12-episode show about a overworked salaryman who is stressed out and has a fox spirit move in with him to help relieve his stress.
So it's kind of like Oh My Goddess?
A little bit. From what I have read about this series to a certain degree is like, this is kind of like, so going back to My Dress Up Darling, there's the stylized succubus manga, gag manga that they reference late in the series about the succubus who's dealing with the overworked salaryman and is trying to kind of help him with his stress so that she could actually stand a chance of feeding on him. So this is kind of a parody, like that fictional manga is kind of pastiching a manga like this one, where a supernatural being comes into the home of a stressed out salary person and basically like, rather than the salaryman adopts a cat or that sort of thing, it's the salaryman is adopted by a spirit or by a fox spirit or an angel or something like that instead.
You need all the help you could get.
Yep. So that will be next month's show. It is, again, 12 episodes, nice and short. Currently streaming on Crunchyroll with a dub and subtitles.
Cool.
And I will admit I am coming into this one cold, but we've kind of been making a tradition for April shows being one where we come in kind of cold to it, and we're like more or less unaware, or at least I am coming in unaware.
It's important to try random things now and then. Keep your brain flexible.
Yep. So that will be next month's show.
Awesome.
So until then, any final thoughts?
This show is really good. If you watched Horimiya and you liked it, definitely watch Toradora. But also if you like slice of life, I would also recommend Toradora because it's kind of grounded in a way that a lot of romantic shows aren't. But it is still quite funny. Props.
Yes. I guess my final thought would be Toradora the Explorer.
Why? He's trying to make me groan, you guys.
Well, he seriously made me groan, so hey.
You asked for final thoughts, not helpful or good or retrospective. I'm going to end this the way I began it. Nonsense.
I guess my final thought is, this is, of the various, romantic comedy anime I have seen, anime and manga, it's not a light show. It definitely has lots of light moments to it, but it's it definitely fits more of the dramedy side of the romantic dramedy, but it works really well. I'd almost the comparison I feel like I would almost want to make is not quite the Wonder Years, but in this but in the ways that show would get as much as it would get sitcom and comedy, it would also get
real.
It also get real. Yeah. That's what it feels like with Toradora. And with it also since the characters being well written, well realized, and feeling like teenagers in a realistic way. Mm-hmm. So all in all, great show. Absolutely should watch it. I'm glad I finally got a chance to finish it.
Indeed.
All right. So once again, next month, we Helpful Fox Senko-San. And if you have any thoughts on that, or you want to toss some thoughts to us on Toradora, you can send us an email at animeexplorationspod@gmail.com. Please put the name of the show you're talking about in the subject line. I mean, admittedly, we haven't gotten that much feedback, which is why we haven't had a feedback section. But still,
if you don't tell
feel
us
free
the
to
show,
put your...
we will have to guess, and we will guess to be wrong.
Don't make David guess.
Indeed. Also, if you like what you hear, please consider backing our Patreon at patreon.com/count0or. Patreon backers get access to edited versions of my Let's Plays, of the podcast, of my blog posts, and my weekly video essays and all that fun stuff up to 1 week in advance, and all sorts of wonderful stuff. If you do not or are not able to do a monthly subscription thing, we also have a Ko-fi tip jar at ko-fi.com/count0. Any of those work to help support what we do and cover our hosting costs and all that fun stuff. Anything you can support really helps. And also affiliate links where available for the stuff that we talked about in terms of purchasing physical copies or digital copies of the shows and novels and audiobooks in the show notes as well.
Get your physical media in order.
Oh, yes, because licenses expire. We haven't yet had a situation where I've announced something as for the show and then had to call an audible after recording when I discovered that it was no longer licensed. But that could happen with streaming. That's why having physical copies is good.
All right.
So, until next time, thank you very much for listening.
Bye.